So, as I was scrolling through some articles on the news, I saw a lot of things on religious discrimination, and it made me think, is it really ethical to allow religion to interfere with a government occupation? As I was thinking about that, I remember the Kim Davis case from June 2015. In June 2015, same-sex marriage was legalized. However, Kentucky clerk Kim Davis refused to issue same-sex marriage licenses, even though the Supreme Court legalized it in all 50 states. Davis stated that same-sex marriage was not of God, and that it went against natural law. She refused to sign any marriage licenses that went against her religious beliefs, and that she would not condone it. Davis was imprisoned for refusing to do her government job, and she spent 6 days in the county jail for it. However, after much talk in the courts, she finally agreed to allow same-sex marriage licenses to be issued, as long as her name or title wasn't on them. However, Davis just couldn't let it lie there. She had to modify the marriage licenses. "In the office of" is crossed out, and instead of her name and county, Davis changed it to "pursuant to federal court order." Also, county clerk is crossed out. And last but not least, Deputy Clerk Brian Mason's position was misidentified as notary public. But are these marriage licenses legal? Well, her lawyers say they are. They also say that no further action is required by a federal judge to change them. Additionally, a month before that statement in September, these same lawyers stated that the marriage licenses that were issued while she was in jail, which did not have her signature on them, were void. So, moving on to the religious aspect of this, Davis stated that she wouldn't issue any marriage licenses that went against her religious beliefs. An aversion to same-sex marriage and same-sex couples in general is very common in a lot of religions. So, are religions for or against same-sex marriage? Well, the answer is, it depends. For example, there are a lot of religions that prohibit same-sex marriage, like the American Baptist Church, the Assemblies of God, Church of Latter-day Saints, the Islam, Lutheran Church, Baptist Church, Orthodox Jewish, Roman Catholic, Southern Baptist, and United Methodist. But there are a lot of religions that approve of same-sex marriage, like the conservative Jewish movement, the Episcopal Church, Evangelical Lutheran, Presbyterian, Reformed Jewish, the Society of Friends, also known as the Quakers, and the United Church of Christ. And, of course, there are some that aren't exactly clear, like Buddhism and Hinduism. So, what exactly does the Bible say about homosexuality? Well, it doesn't say a lot, but what it does say isn't very good. Here are a few of the most prominent passages. In Leviticus 18:22, it says, "You shall not lie with a male as one lies with a female. It is an abomination." In Leviticus 20:13, "If there is a man who lies with a male as those who lie with a woman, both of them have committed a detestable act. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood guiltness is upon them." 1 Corinthians 6:9 and 10 says, "Or do you not know that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither fornications, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor homosexuals, nor thieves, nor the covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor swindlers shall inherit the kingdom of God." And Romans 1:26-28 says this, "For this reason God gave them over to degrading passions. For their women exchanged the natural function for that which is unnatural. And in the same way also the men abandoned the natural function of the woman, and burned in their desire toward one another, men with men committing indecent acts, and receiving in their own persons the due penalty of their error. And just as they did not see fit to acknowledge God any longer, God gave them over to a depraved mind, to do those things which are not proper." The website I found all this on goes on to say that homosexuality undermines God's order when he made Adam and Eve, a man and a woman, to carry out his command to fill the earth, in Genesis 1:28. However, homosexuality cannot carry out that order. In addition, it goes on to say that homosexuality undermines the basic family unit of a husband and a wife, which is the God-ordained means of procreation. And homosexuality can't do that. And it even says homosexuality is dangerous to society, but we're not going to get into that. On the other hand, though, the Bible also says that eating shellfish, wearing clothing of mixed fabrics, and even eating things like pigs or other animals is a sin too. So we have to put things into context before we take them literally. Bringing it back to Kim Davis for a second, the Bible also prohibits divorce, but she's been divorced 3 times. Now, let's look at the government side of this. There are federal laws that cover religious discrimination. For example, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 protects individuals from discrimination based on religion. It makes it illegal for an employer to discriminate against individuals based on their religion. This includes things like hiring, firing, promotions, raises, and any other job opportunities. Title VII also requires employers to reasonably accommodate the religious practices of their employees. For example, flexible scheduling, shift swaps, job reassignments. However, they do not have to do so if it would create an undue hardship upon the employer. But how separated are our church and state really? Especially when we have people like Kim Davis and all her religious supporters working in the government. Even in our Pledge of Allegiance, we say one nation under God, despite the fact that we have tons of religions in this country. And not to mention the fact that our founding fathers were incredibly religious themselves. However, when all government officials are sworn into office, regardless of the level of their job from the county clerk up to the president, they're supposed to take an oath not to let things like religion get in the way of what they do. But obviously, that's not happening. Religion plays a really big role in a lot of people's morality, even the supposedly impartial judges and government officials. And not to mention that a lot of the most significant moral advances in Western society have been motivated by religious beliefs and principles. Thomas Jefferson once said, "I contemplate with sovereign reverence that act of the whole American people which declared that their legislature should make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state." So, a lot of people reason that it's not ethical to allow religion to interfere with the government, but it still happens. And it just kind of depends on the person, because there are lots of people who don't let their religious affiliations interfere with their work. But then there's the people like Kim Davis who do. One of the ways of knowing is faith, and that has to do with people's religion and their beliefs. However, sometimes faith can get in the way of reason, and especially in jobs like working in the government, reason is really important, because it allows people to make the correct judgment of other people and to pass laws that are good for the people of this country. So when it comes down to it, religion and government don't really have anything to do with each other. But a lot of people still let their religious affiliations interfere with what they do in the government. And that can be both beneficial and detrimental to us. It just depends on the situation. Looking at all this, we can come to the conclusion that allowing religion to interfere with the government is unethical, and yet it still happens, so we've still got a long way to go.